Ladies and gentlemen, that's unlocked because I've been unlocked.
I love it.
That's amazing. That's hilarious. Welcome back to this week's episode of Unlocked. I am so excited because I have one of my dear friends, Lynne Patton, on. Welcome.
What's up, girl? Thank you for having me.
First off, y'all, I am so excited because we have to go to Memphis tomorrow,
Yes.
but I told Lynn and our friend Shep that they had to come.
That's his code name.
That's his code name. That they had to come to Nashville first, and then me, Lynn, Shep, and Todd are all riding together tomorrow.
Road trip.
Road trip, yes, and we are so excited. But I thought this would be a really good episode to give people kind of like a backstory because they see my friends on a day-to-day life. But ever since I've started coming to DC, it's like I have a whole different set of friends there. And
we're so excited to have you there. And like we were saying, you know, it's like a giant episode of Real World meets House of Cards.
It is. Like every time I leave, something more outrageous happens that topped the trip before. And I'm like, what world am I in?
I know. Even you said you couldn't keep up if you moved there.
Yeah, there's no way.
We're out every night. It's all about networking. It's all about getting things done. You know, you came to town and you've done nothing but try to advocate for the release of your parents.
Yes.
And we're thrilled to say that it works.
It worked. It worked. And did I have to sleep with anyone or pay anyone?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lynne Patton. I'm a deputy assistant to the president. I've been with him and this family for almost 18 years.
So
I started
far before
long before politics, long before you know, all of the weaponization and warfare and lawfare, long before 2 assassination attempts when the entire world embraced and loved them. But I've seen both sides of the coin. And what I do know is that there are very few families, maybe other than yours, that are under such a microscope.
Yes.
There would never be any appearance of impropriety or any sort of quid pro quo with this family or this president, because again, everybody is looking, even me. If I post something, Crew, which is like a ethics watchdog group, will like send a letter within 24 hours about whatever it is I might be doing or maybe doing or might, you know, be accused of doing or look like I'm doing. They're just anything they just throw at the wall and see what sticks. And so
yes. So like in the world of politics and you being in this family for so long, can you kind of explain to people how the media and political figures will take a tiny little thing and turn it into something it's just not?
Absolutely. I'm actually shocked that nobody's said or alluded to the fact that because we're friends and sometimes even in each other's Instagram stories, that I haven't been paid by you or somebody, or, you know, they'll take that little bit and they'll say, oh, she was on Laura Trump's show, or she was friends with Lynn, or she's friends with Margot, or she's, you know, friends with Alice. All of these things, there's nothing illegal about any of that.
No.
And by the way, again, I just met you. Like we clicked.
Well, guess what? When was it? When was CPAC?
CPAC DC was, it couldn't have been more than 6 months ago, I would think.
February? Oh, February. Shep said February.
I love that Shep is sitting off camera.
Oh, yeah,
now,
sitting off camera.
And nobody knows his identity except for a select few.
He's tagged on my Instagram right now, and so when this airs, no one's going to know what today was.
I love it. I love it. Yes.
So February.
So February, and, you know, you spoke at the RNC. Of course, I was there, but we never really connected. And I do have a confession to make.
I please, that's what I was about to say. Can you please tell everyone how you shit on me? Shit on me, literally.
Okay. Yes, I have an apology to make to Virginia and Brett, because when I found out that the speaker for criminal justice reform at the Republican National Convention, no offense, was going to be a white woman with blonde hair from Tennessee. Look, who had never been to jail.
Yes.
I was just like, what? Why? I was like, we have like Duke Tanner, we have, Michael Harrio Harris, like who co-founded Death Row Records. We have all these advocates. We have Alice Johnson. Why doesn't one of them speak?
Why is this?
Why are we talking? Right. But I do eat my words because you came out and you freaking killed it. You slayed. You told everybody about your story. You have become one of the greatest advocates we have for the Bureau of Prisons. And I hang out with you now. We're friends now. And so I know that this is not an act. Mm-hmm. You live, breathe, and eat to make a difference, particularly in this industry. You've met with the new Bureau of Prisons director.
Also, which is so crazy. So when I walked out of that meeting, because the meeting lasted 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like I thought, okay, you know how it is. These people in DC who are in high up positions, you're lucky if you get a 30-minute meeting. Yeah. Like it's just how it goes. I walked out of there like after 6 p.m., 3 hours, and there was only one other person in the building, which was one of the security guards. So it could have been the only person that took a picture of me. But as I was walking out, they take a picture of me and they post it on this BOP Facebook page. And then I had Dad call me because this is when he was still in prison, and Mom, and they're like, so you met with the director today? I was like, how did you know that? They're like, oh, all the staff members here are talking about it. And so even today I spoke to the director and I told him that, and he was like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. That was totally inappropriate. That put your safety at risk.
He's not wrong. Yeah. And what I do love though is that you taught me a great lesson, which is one that I preach from the rooftops and didn't even heed myself, which is color doesn't matter. It's the experience, it's the story, it's the commitment, the things that you've shared with us, the things that you've shared with the president, the things that you've shared with Alice and the Bureau of Prisons are concerns that should frighten everybody.
Yeah.
And the fact that I know over the next 4 years, you're going to make a huge difference and impact on how the treatment of folks in prison who are still there, who, whether they deserve to be there or not, should be treated humanely.
Yes.
The fact that they rig all of the pricing of the phone calls and how it's privatized and all these things that, we're going to get to the bottom of, and we're going to try to.
Well, it's actually really interesting. So part of my conversation today was because I did have Core Civic reach out to me, which I've met with. They're here in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So they reached out to me once Mom and Dad got pardoned. And they were like, congratulations, this is amazing. And I told them, I was like, yes, like we're rejoicing in this, but next week I'm getting back to work.
Yep.
And we need to figure out how we can work together. Because frankly, you're not ever going to get rid of private prisons.
No.
And some of these private prison operators, I do believe, have some better systems in place than what our own federal government has.
Of course.
And so I talked to Billy Marshall about that today. And under the last administration, they actually took funding away from private prisons. And
incredible.
That's what hurt a lot of our men and women in the system, because then we weren't cooperating with these private prisons, which means they're now going to our ancient facilities. And that's what he said. Now we're looking in the next budget round to ask them for more money for these private prisons so we can figure out how to work together, how to rehabilitate each other.
That's right.
And when everyone gets together in one room, that's how you figure it out.
Absolutely. Which is why you keep hearing it. And I know you do, because I've been in the room when people keep saying it. You need to meet Jack Brewer. You need to meet Jack Brewer.
Yes.
He's one of us. He's amazing. He has been in this prison system trying to change it and effectuate positive change. And he's really big on fatherhood, signed the Fatherhood Act in Florida. He's going to hopefully be working with us on something similar. And just getting fathers back in the lives of their children, whether they're behind bars or recently released or rehabilitated. And he's big in the world of private prisons. And however we can work together, because that's what it's all about. working together to implement change
Yes.
is what this president and this administration wants.
See, and I love that. What would you say to people? Because I guarantee it's not going to be the first time you've asked this you've been asked this question. But what do you say to people that look at you and say, how can you, as a Black woman, support President Trump?
Oh, it's the most paramount question I get. You're a Black female. How do you work for a racist misogynist? And the first thing I say is that I don't. Yeah. I don't. And there's absolutely no amount of money in the world you could pay me to stay with a man or his family who I think harbor these types of ideologies, because it just wouldn't happen. My dad grew up in segregated Birmingham, Alabama. It would be such a disservice to him and everything he went through if I tolerated that sort of injustice. And what I always say, and this is the God's honest truth, Donald J. Trump does not see black and white. What he sees, in my opinion, is success and failure. And that's kind of the innate businessman in him. But whether that success or failure manifests itself as a person, policy, a restaurant, a TV show, it makes no difference to him. So when he said so controversially that Haiti was a shithole country, to me, what he's saying is that this country has failed its people. That they are a corrupt government that forces their citizens to live in abject poverty. That, quite frankly, it's the exact opposite. If he were worried about being perceived as racist, the fact that that country is 99% black, he would have said to himself, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this because people are going to think that I'm being racist. But the fact that that part doesn't even cross his mind and he just speaks the truth, I think that's what people love about him, and it makes him even less racist when it comes down to it.
Can you also maybe tell people what one of the president's favorite events are at the White House? Because we have Women's History Month. We have
Black History Month. He was Hispanic, Jewish. He loves Black History Month. Like, it's usually one of his favorite events, meaning because the energy in that room is just so off the charts. The excitement, we had obviously record numbers in all of those demographics turn out in November to vote for this man. I have to sometimes remind myself that we are the majority. We've been beaten down so much for the last 8 to 10 years that I think we're just inherently trained now to, conceal your support for the president in public, not wear the red MAGA hat, not wear T-shirts. But we are the majority because when you abandon the priorities of the American voter, then don't be surprised when the American voter abandons you in return.
Oh, that is so good.
Minorities, no different than anybody, just wanted to put food on their table. They just wanted to put gas in their car. They just want their kids to have a solid education without coming back as a cat or a dog or a boy or a girl. Literally. And they just want to, live in a safe neighborhood and live a life of traditional values without being called extremists, without being called cultists,
without being
being called Hitler. I've been called a white supremacist, which is like hilarious.
That is laughable. Laughable.
Even Shep is laughing. I've been called.
Even Shep is laughing. Yep.
So, it's the argument that Democrats have against us is just, it doesn't stick anymore.
No.
It doesn't stick. We're your neighbors. We're your friends. We're your family members. We work for you. We're your bosses. We're your employees. And so at the end of the day, we're all Americans and we're here to make a difference. And people voted for change and they're going to get it.
I love that. As the temps start rising, I feel that familiar urge to refresh my closet, but I'm definitely not wasting money on pieces that I'll only wear once or for just one season. Quince changes that. Their clothes are timeless, lightweight, and far more elevated than anything else at this price. It finally feels like my wardrobe matches my standards, like the 100% European linen shorts and dresses from $30, luxe swimwear, Italian leather leather platform sandals, and so much more. The best part, everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middleman, Quince gives you luxury without the markup. I mean, y'all, I am preparing for summer, all these fun trips, and I love linen and the Luxe swimwear. So I have been buying all of their linen in every color that they have, and I am obsessed. I use Quince, and honestly, I think you should use them too. Give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. Go to quince.com/unlocked for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/unlocked to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/unlocked. If you've been following me and my family for a while, then you know I have gone through tons of changes. When it comes to my hair, I have always wanted to be different, and I wanted instant gratification. So I got my hair done one time, and I had to literally shave my head. I wanted it to grow out, and I was struggling. And that's why I use Nutrafol. You may have heard of Nutrafol's hair growth supplements and wondered, do they actually work? Many hair supplements overpromise and underdeliver, but Nutrafol is different. As the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, it's trusted by over 1.5 million people and is clinically tested to deliver real results in just 3 to 6 months. Adding Nutrafol to your routine is easy and no prescription is needed. Order online with free shipping and automated deliveries. Subscribe to save 20% and enjoy perks like one-on-one naturopathic consults and a free Headspace membership to support your hair growth journey. This summer, stop worrying about your hair and start making memories. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code UNLOCKED. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code UNLOCKED. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code UNLOCKED. Do you have friends who believe differently than you, who are on the other side of the aisle?
My parents believe differently than I do.
Wow. Okay.
I think they tell people I work at Costco.
Stop it. You are lying. You are lying.
I'm literally like Debbie's. And what I have to do sometimes is I have to say, Mom, Dad, you know, well, first of all, my dad's been a doctor at Yale for 50 plus years. My mom's a language teacher. They are, you know, from that sort of academia elitist circle.
Yes.
They were going to Martha's Vineyard long before, you know, President Obama was. I grew up like the Cosby Show with one child.
Yes.
Which brings me to the fact, like, how could I ever, as a minority, say that I've been disadvantaged? Mm-hmm. It just hasn't been accurate. And I always say that DEI is one of the cruelest things about it, is it calls into question the accomplishments of the very people it's designed to, quote unquote, help. You know, it doesn't elevate people, it taints achievements. Because I know more than anyone what it's like to walk, you know, the halls of a New England boarding school and have people look at you and wonder if you literally deserve to be there or if you're just there because of your skin color. And so the Supreme Court got it right when they said, you know, we don't live in a world where this is necessary anymore. Everybody's granted, you know, it's the bedrock principle of this country, opportunity, you know, and everybody's granted equal opportunity. It doesn't mean equal outcome.
Yes.
But, you know, everybody's given a chance, and it's how you take that opportunity and what you do with it. But long story longer.
I love that. That's my favorite saying ever. Long story longer. I think I've used it once or twice since meeting you.
Yeah. You know, what this president wants to do is shift away from sort of the identity politics of Black History Month, Women's History Month, Hispanic History Month, and just, you know, focus on the golden era economy, bringing back the strongest economy, bringing back manufacturing, bringing back strong schools, bringing back school choice, making prisons better, bringing back workforce training.
Criminal justice side of things
yes.
historically has been a very liberal kind of.
Oh, yeah. Social justice
blame.
cause.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, but even under his first administration, the First Step Act, 2018,
Absolutely.
it was implemented. That was one of the biggest
bipartisan bills in history.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'll never forget what Van Jones said at the time, which was, I have to credit Donald J. Trump because we've been trying as a party, as a country, to pass criminal justice reform, comprehensive criminal justice reform for 30 plus years. But the reason why it never passed, he said, was because everybody went to the table with an all or nothing attitude.
Yep.
And what Donald Trump did for the first time is he said, well, what if we put this little bit in there? What if we put this little bit in there from, things that we all want? What can we all agree on? Let's just put that in and then revisit it and see what else we can put in that we all agree on. And what else can we put in that we all agree on? And next thing you know, you have a pretty decent bill. And it might not be all or nothing, but it's something. And it's a start. And now, I'm proud to say that, there are informal conversations about, moving on to the Second Step Act.
Yes.
And that's about, housing assistance, education assistance, workforce training, making sure, you don't need a 4-year degree to be successful in this country. And Ivanka Trump was one of the first people to make that clear in the first administration when, she advocated for her dad to sign into law something that measures work experience just as much as a 4-year degree. When it comes to hiring in the federal government.
That's what I say. Yeah. Literally, in this whole fight, the director asked me, he was like, so what's your background? And I was like, my parents going to prison. And he like kind of laughed. Yeah. Because I laughed.
But
and he laughed.
True.
And he was like, no, but really, like, where'd you go to college? What was your degree? And I looked at him and I said, I went for 2 years and then I said, I'm done.
But I don't think I know of anyone who's educated themselves more than you have in this space. And again, like I admitted, you made me eat my words because you are going to be one of our strongest advocates in this arena. You, Alice, everybody who's standing behind you and helping to get the messaging out there. So I look forward to it.
It's just when your life is on the line, literally, when the rest of your life is on the line, you have no choice but to educate yourself. Or I guess you do.
True.
I guess you do. You can either choose to sit down and
stick your head in the sand.
Yes.
You could have cried, felt sorry for yourself for the next 14 years plus years. And
I chose not to. That was the biggest thing, was like, I could sit here and feel sorry for myself. But in the back of my mind, I was like, you know what? If I don't fight like hell, I'm going to be raising 2 kids.
And you're going to be a victim too.
Exactly. That grow up without their parents, that become another statistic.
Yeah.
My dad's also going to miss my wedding. He's going to miss me having kids. He's going to miss, he's going to be almost 70 by the time he gets out.
Right.
And I refuse to accept that being my reality.
And the fact that actually the prison that your father was in tried to ban you from seeing him for another year.
A year.
Effective 3 months ago or something?
Yeah, at least probably 3 months ago.
Yeah. You would not have been able to see your dad for another, 8 months or something. And that is outrageous.
Oh, absolutely insane. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens to that facility, what happens to the individuals who work there. Because like I said, for the first time, I actually have faith in who the president has elected for this position. Because the last person, Colette Peters, I remember watching her swearing in and I was like, oh my God. I was literally sitting in my bathtub with my laptop watching her swearing in. And I was like, yes, thank God. Finally, a woman in a position of power. Things are going to get done. And she left an absolute dumpster fire of a mess.
Because again, the media brainwashes you into thinking that, because you're a minority or because you're a woman or something along these lines, you're going to care more.
Yes.
But that's not accurate.
No, not at all.
You, again, prove me wrong by showing that.
I love you. I could hear that a few more times. Come on. No, I'm kidding.
I'm only going to say one more time.
Only one more.
You know, again, I love the fact that you proved me wrong, and I love the fact that we're best friends, and I love the fact that I just can't wait to be your biggest champion when it comes to what you're going to do and what you're going to change. And having a front row seat to that is just as exciting as it's been, you know, on this journey with the Trump family for the last 17 years.
I love you. I do. I love you.
And your parents are going to be staunch advocates for change.
Oh, well, you saw in the press conference today, my dad was like, I'm not leaving these men behind.
By pardoning them, President Trump created 2 more advocates, 2 more warriors, 2 more non-victims who are going to make sure that the people they met and the stories they heard and the conditions they, you know, suffered under are going to change and going to be better for the people who are still there.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. This process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states. All right, y'all, summer is here, and if you're like me, then you're going to find yourself on the beach quite a lot this summer. Do you love your shades that you're wearing, but you find them getting caught in your hair frustrating? I know I do. Those days are over thanks to Shady Rays. Their best-selling tangle-free collection has nose pieces specifically designed to avoid any snags in your hair. This way, perfectly styled hair remains perfect. Shady Rays offers all the iconic styles from the aviator to cat-eye designed frame. So you're bound to find the perfect pair to match every outfit. I know for me, I'm an aviator girl. It's just who I am through and through. And I love using my aviator sunglasses to hold my hair back. But it's frustrating because hair gets caught. And well, now we have avoided all of that because that does not happen with Shady Rays. And here's the best part. They have the best protection program in all eyewear. Life happens and Shady Rays gets it. Whether you drop them, break them, or they mysteriously disappear, their lost and broken protection has you covered from day one. Plus, if they're not the perfect fit, no worries. You can exchange or return them for free within 30 days. It's risk-free shipping with fast personal support. With over 300,000 5-star reviews, that's a lot of happy customers. So start shopping for your next pair of sunglasses today and see why Shady Rays is the go-to choice. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out an amazing deal for the season. Head to shadyrays.com with code UNLOCKED35 for 35% off their premium polarized sunglasses. Snag your shades and get ready for the summer sun. Go to shadyrays.com and use code UNLOCKED35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. The day that they were pardoned, they weren't the only ones pardoned.
Yeah.
There was,
By the way,
I think,
28 other people were pardoned, including Larry Hoover, who founded the Gangster Disciples, one of the most ruthless black gangs in Chicago. He's since disavowed his association with them. And I think he was in the solitary confinement for decades.
Yes.
Like decades. That cannot be more inhumane. How he didn't come out just blazing and wanting to kick everybody's ass. You know, I don't know if I can say ass.
No,
on
you
this
can.
Okay. But is beyond me. I mean, how you don't just lose your sanity is beyond me. But instead, he came out stronger, wrote books, advocated for people, is committed to helping others. Alice Johnson knows this, believes in him, put her name on the line by saying he needs to be unconditionally pardoned. And now, actually, he's been transferred to a state prison, which may arguably be worse. And now, you know, Governor Pritzker, let's see what you have to say, because now it's all on you. You can pardon this man and make him free and create another social justice warrior.
Thank you.
But instead, you're going to keep him behind bars, you know, advocating from the inside, which is not as helpful.
No, because he was down for 50 years.
Yeah. We have Michael Harrio Harris, who also co-founded Death Row Records. Snoop Dogg has advocated for him for years. He was granted an unconditional pardon. Duke Tanner, who had never been arrested before. This blew my mind when he told me this. Become one of my very close friends. He'd never been arrested before, ever. Never been in trouble with the law. Got in trouble selling drugs, I think marijuana, and which is legal now. Which, by the way, is legal now in most states. Sentenced to like 2 life terms, plus like 50 years. You know, when Laura Trump said to Alice Johnson the other day when I was watching her be interviewed at the White House, you had the same sentence, Laura said to Alice, as Charles Manson. I almost fell off my chair. Like, in what world does Alice Johnson, a first-time offender who'd also never been arrested or in trouble before in her entire life, get a same sentence as Charles Manson?
Thank you. And for people that are listening or watching, I did an episode with Alice Johnson probably like a year ago. And so you can go back and watch it. But her story was insane. Yeah. It was all conspiracy. Drugs were never found on her.
Never.
It was, and she got a life plus 25,
and the one who was guilty of selling drugs, they ended up making a deal with, and I think he didn't even serve any time, if not more than 3 years.
Yeah.
And out. You know, and he was the true mastermind. We all believe in justice, but what we believe in is equal justice. I said that today.
And so when you speak about Alice Johnson, obviously you both are working within the administration, so you've gotten to know each other.
We're like besties.
I love it.
We go get coffee together. We go,
So what if you could describe Alice in a few words, how would you describe her?
I mean, hero is the first word that comes to mind.
Yeah, she is.
She's just such a hero because, again, you're talking about somebody who has every excuse to be angry, to be an unproductive, angry person. But instead, she's chosen to advocate for people like herself. You know, what your parents are going to start doing. We're going to her 70th birthday party tomorrow.
Her 70th birthday and 7 years free.
Yes, I'm
she's
so
70.
excited.
70, and that's what I tell people is, you know what? Alice Johnson is 70 years old.
Oh, I know. We were talking about that this morning in the White House.
Yes.
Brett, my colleagues Brett and Alex were like, what is she doing? I'm like, it's called Black Don't Crack.
Yes, exactly.
I have some I can give you. It's like, comes in a bottle. We should bottle it.
It. Come on.
Yeah.
No, but really, I'm like, she's 70 years old. It is never too late to make a difference in this world. It's never too late to show up and love people well. She spent 20 plus years in prison.
Yeah. And when she told us, you know, Shep knows, we were at dinner and she told a captivated audience, like, her story. And she literally said her release date on her paperwork said death. And, you know, I was just like, wow. First of all, that would make a powerful movie title.
Yeah,
but
literally.
Secondly, it's just, can you imagine, like, the only way you're getting out of here is in a pine box. And what impressed me about her the most is that she told us all the things that she was doing in prison, speaking at schools, putting on, helping the prisoners, her fellow prisoners, put on plays.
Yep.
You know, that depicted stories from the Bible when they had visiting days for the other families. You know, most people do those kinds of things in prison so that it looks good on their parole board hearing. They don't do these things when they have no chance in hell of getting out.
Yes.
And so the fact that she was doing all these things with absolutely no, you know, goal in mind other than just helping people was what really impressed me about the woman.
I love her.
She's just so genuine.
Yes.
And she keeps it so real.
And she does not take shit. I mean, I do not want to be someone that pisses off Alice Johnson.
I do not either. I do not. And she said, she's like, you know, I was friends with the people that, you know, folks were scared of in prison. She was friends with the staff. She was friends with the women who, you know, maybe were meek.
Yeah.
Everybody got along with her. And that's very rare, I can imagine, in prison, is when you get along with everyone, it's almost just unheard of. But she's one of those people that just, you know, sticks up for herself, defends herself, and nobody's going to mess with her.
I love that. Okay, so before we wrap up. you have the next 4 years, basically, in the White House, and maybe, but what?
I mean, I'm trying.
You're trying.
It's the honor of a lifetime. I always say the only downside.
Stop laughing.
The only downside of winning is having to move back to Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Which I wouldn't wish on anyone.
No.
But, when the president asks you to come back and work for his administration for a second time, you don't say no.
No.
You serve at the pleasure of the president, and I will be there as long as he'll have me. But
and what's after that?
What's after that? I know. Well, coming out and maybe helping people like yourself.
See, I love
making
that.
sure that we're making. Who's this we have?
Come on. You're going to come on.
I can't believe I'm meeting you for the first time. How are you? I feel like I know you.
Well, you should.
I mean, when your father FaceTimed me on the way back from prison with you yesterday and said, I had to Google you because anybody hanging out with my daughter, I have to investigate. And when I saw that you were suspended from the government, I said, that's my kind of girl.
Listen.
You guys sit here. If you're going to tell the story, you might as well make me some money while you do it.
Let him share your money.
I'm sharing.
Okay.
He's got it.
It's like yesterday.
Let the money roll in.
It's this group of Democrats yesterday, they posted a thing about our pardon. And they said, "Why, dear Mr. President, can you help so-and-so and so-and-so?" And I went back and I said, "Who'd you vote for?" Don't start coming and begging for a pardon now when you damn ran him in the ground, talked all this mad shit, and now
Tried to put him in prison.
Who's ever heard of such in this country that we locking up our presidents?
Can you imagine?
I mean,
and shooting at him twice.
We've had whoremongers in the Oval Office. We've had blowjobs under the Oval desk. We've had Hillary running the country behind and using her husband as the front.
That's right.
You
Joe Biden too?
Well, Joe didn't do anything. You can't blame him for anything because he wasn't there.
He didn't know he was.
Joe was never there. He never even knew he was in the White House.
Poor thing.
No.
Poor thing.
And I also, I believe in prison.
Yes.
I'm not sitting here saying to abolish prisons.
Deserve to be there.
Yes, but at the end of the day, we incarcerate more individuals in the United States of America than any other country in the world.
I didn't see that.
We then have the highest recidivism rate of anyone else in the world.
That's right.
So if we are the number one country of incarceration, should we not be the number one country in lowering recidivism?
Amen.
But yet we've got the highest.
Yes.
The Clinton News Network, that does all their bull.
On that note, thank you for showing up to today's episode, and we're going to cut it because I need some of you Dems to watch this too. So until next time.
I love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of Unlocked because I've been unlocked.
I love it.
That's amazing.